and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the vlog. So today we have a 2020 992 911 Carrera S, and this is the brand new remodeled 992 or 911. 992 is a chassis code. There's a couple of changes in this car that I need to talk about, but first of all, let's talk about the biggest change on this car, and it is the rear arch. So in previous 911 models, the rear arch is only widened on the turbo and GT3 and upper models, but now all 911s get the wide arch so that every car can just have suspension upgrades instead of body and upgrade suit. I believe that's a manufacturing efficiency improvement for Porsche, but it also works out because this car looks amazing with the new rear arch, with the new wide rear ump arch. And let's go over some of the other changes. The tail lights are a little bit different. They now go from one end of the car all the way to the other end, so it's just one big bar with LED strips. They're all LED headlights and taillights, and there's a Porsche emblem right in the center of the taillights, and the third brake lights is right there. So my thoughts are, I think it looks really good. I like it overall. I think it's a simple, clean design that speaks to the Porsche emotion that people chase. This whole car was redesigned for the purpose of, it's not just an improvement over the 991.2. It is a complete redesign to enumerate a modern revisioning of the old 911. So that's kind of where the design language of this car came about. We got wheels, and those are 245, 35, 20 for the rear, for the front, and the rears are 21s. So it kind of goes with the GT3 wheel specs, and the rears are 305, 30, 21 to give it more grip. The brakes are pretty nice. These are standard non-ceramic. I believe these are 6-piston front and 4-piston rear. So pretty cool. Obviously the front is the same as GT3 RS that I did before, and since now we know where the trunk latch is, it's right here. Just pull it up so we can get into the front. And the latch to open it is kind of the same as the Taycan. Same latch. The front is, it's a front, you know, decent enough. Again, there's space in the back. There's a false back seat. There's a false back seat for more luggage space. So we can open this up and just do a quick peek at the back over there. There you go. Anyways, so that is the exterior of the car. This does have a glass sunroof, or moonroof if you will. So we just squat down here, raise the camera up. There you go. That's the sunroof, moonroof. It's a combo of both. I like the redesign of the center cluster here, the instrument cluster. And I'll raise the ISO so you guys can actually see what's going on here. There you go. I think it is a very good redesign. It's got an analog tacked right dead center so that you can see your RPMs for shifting. It improves overall driving, and it's got the big center gauge or center cluster on the other side there. So a little bit of a design improvement is the fact that I can actually get my gimbal into this car. Getting in is very easy. And here's your center console. It's a 7-inch up top, and for some other models there's a 7-inch at the bottom also, but this one doesn't have it. Well, there you go. That's your center dash. So we have radio. When you hit the media, you can go to faves, list for your radio stations, easy scroll up. So that stuff is pretty standard. Your phone for your Bluetooth stuff, car for all the different modes it has. So that hasn't changed much. That stuff is still That stuff is still pretty standard. Normal, sport, sport plus, individual. You can adjust whatever you want for your systems. Update on the design as far as where buttons are placed. So the sport, the shock suspension button is up here now. Before it was down here somewhere, like in the center here, and there's a cool 911 logo that's been etched onto this, so I find that interesting. Park, manual mode, and the gear, that's your actual gear lever to change from park, reverse, neutral. So that stuff is pretty standard. You can change your temps from these buttons here. They're all very race car latch type of buttons, but they have a luxury feel to them, so that's pretty good. AC, and to change the climate control mode is right up here. That's all pretty done. You can also do climate from the screen too, obviously. Change where you want the air to go, and so on and so forth. Here is the instrument cluster, completely changed. So the Taycan has a one screen. It doesn't have this big analog tactometer in the center. The Taycan is all digital, but this has an analog tact right in the center to kind of improve driving feel. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. I don't know. That's a personal preference thing. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And that is pretty much it for the center console. The steering wheel is pretty standard as far as Porsches go. That's your steering wheel. Nothing too crazy to do there. You can also change the options. This car, some of these cars come with a sport chrono, and that actually improves the 0 to 60 time. It depends on how fast, what options you choose will determine how fast your car is. Let's get out of the car. And some of the options that you can choose as far as this car is, some come with a Targa top. This one is a hard top, obviously. Some come with a convertible Cabriolet Targa top, and the others come with either a 7-speed manual or a 8-speed PDK. So those are your choices. Obviously, the hard top with the 7-speed manual would be the fastest one in terms of numbers, but in terms of reality, the PDK is probably faster, simply because there's no errors and it shits perfectly. So those are pretty much it. The engine is a 3-liter. Forgot to talk about that. Engine is a 3-liter twin turbo flat 6, and it comes with 443 horsepower and they're about 350 foot-pounds of torque, plus minus 10. I'll put the exact information right down here so you guys know what it is. The exhaust has changed. Check out the exhaust. It's 2 round ovals on the back integrated into the bumper. And yes, that's a false tip. The actual exhaust tip is further back. And I'll try to increase the shadows in post so you guys can actually see the false tip that's in there. But it looks good, and it's far in between, and it's not very obvious. Kind of like some other models that have the actual exhaust sitting somewhere completely different from the false tips. But this actually integrates perfectly, and it hides the rear, and it hides the real exhaust to the back over there. So that's pretty cool. So ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much it for the exterior, interior, and all the little specs of this car. Let's open the back where the engine is so I can show you engine cover in plastic. Press this button here and it opens. Here you go. That's actually very interesting. I'm glad I did that because in the other ones there's a big integrated. This integrates all the way to the end and opens as one whole unit. But this actually just powers a very tiny black part of the Carrera. As you can see, it's got the 3-liter badge in there. I'm not sure you guys can see that. There you go. So it's got the 3-liter badge in there and fans for the radiator. It's got coolant cap, oil cap, and that is it. Really nothing going on here. It tells you Mobil 1 is the oil of choice. So that's pretty much it. And there's some technical information bits right down there. All right, that's enough talking. Let's go for a drive. All right, so here we are. I'm all bolted in, ready to go, sort of. So steering wheel a little bit different from the GT3 RS. This is full power, for the steering wheel. It's a tilt-in telescoping steering wheel. It goes in and out, goes up and down, and it's all power adjusted. I also found some buttons on the dash here that have configurable sport mode. So individual, you can have 2 settings for sport mode. You can have a couple of different options as the way you want it set up on the dash here. It also has sport exhaust. But anyways, enough talking, let's go for a drive. Once you pop it in drive, it'll automatically deactivate the parking brake for you. Okay. All right, so I guess I need to go much further up just because the pedals are really far up there. Maybe a little bit backwards, but anyways. All right, so here we go. So a couple of things in this car. I noticed this is a decisively more quieter car. It's definitely a lot quieter. All right, first impressions I get is I actually really like the driving position of this car. It feels very down low, but it still feels comfortable. It's not a very race GT3 type of feeling. It's a comfortable, smooth type of feeling. Although the cabin noise is still pretty high comparative to any to my S4, I guess, or to any other car really. It's still pretty kind of noisy in here, but you know, it's definitely a lot quieter. This is primarily a sport GT car, so you shouldn't expect too much comfort, but it's also very comfortable. Suspension mode is on hard right now, and it's on sport hard, and it feels pretty good. It feels pretty good. It's not a bad feeling. It rides smooth, and it's a little bit shaky, bumpy, vibrating, but at the same time it's still smooth. It's good enough for corners. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off right now just so we can see what the softer mode is like. And it has less vibrations in it, but at the same time the vibrations are still there, but it's a little bit softer, so that's good. The shifts are not as snappy as the GT3 RS. You can tell that there's definitely a difference between the GT3 RS and this one, even though it's the same PDK, but the shift have been numbed a little bit just so that it can help the speed of the car, just so that it can fit the feeling or the emotion of this car. So brakes are pretty good, and the automatic is actually very intrusive. It changes gears predominantly, and let's see what the cornering ability is like. It's pretty good. The cornering is good. The corner is nice and flat. Although I took that at a very normal speed, it still corners very well. The brakes are really sharp. The pedal doesn't feel as hard as the GT3 RS's pedal. It feels like a hardened regular pedal. I don't know if that's a good explanation, but the pedal feels a little bit harder than a regular, let's say, run-of-the-mill car. But at the same time, it's very sharp at the initial bite, and more than likely, you won't lose any feeling as you go around the brakes. So as I'm changing gears, and I notice if I change my speed, yep, there it goes again. It just upshifted back, downshifted back into gear 4 when I upshifted into 4 because I didn't want much noise. So that's also interesting. I believe that's something you can change depending on the mode that you're in. So we can go in car here real quick, and you can also actually modify the exhaust of the car. And let's leave that on. Let's put it in sport so it doesn't. There we go. That feels more natural to me. And when I go around the back turns, I can control exactly where I want the gears to be. If that makes any sense to you. So that's pretty much it. The steering is pretty sharp. It's definitely not GT3 RS lightning sharp, but it's definitely really sharp. It actually has the exhaust actually has a lot of pops and crackles from the factory. I like the brakes a lot. I feel like I'm too far forward though, just because when I hit the brakes, it feels like a really hard, kind of like your left foot braking for the first time. You know that feeling. But anyways, overall, I really like the way this car drives. I think it's an excellent driver. When we go around this corner, I will do a very small pull just so that you guys can see. Definitely pulls pretty hard. It pulls hard. It's no slouch anyways, guys. Thanks for watching. So I'm gonna go do a little bit of launch control if we can figure out how it works. Actually, it did something just now that I don't like, which is it auto start stop is on there. So I'll turn that off because that's annoying to me. And we'll put it in Sport Plus, and we'll leave it. I believe that'll be it. And the next thing we'll do is hold the brake, launch activator. So that's pretty much it. It's actually very intuitive as far as how the launch activates. You kind of hold the foot down, floor it, and it says launch activated. Since it's a twin turbo car, I would say give it half a second so we can spool the turbo, and then just let it rip, data chip. So it's very simple. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next video.